Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, and I am here today with the latest Pulse video that was released this morning. For those of you who may be new or hasn't been paying attention too much to Eve's social media in the past, the Pulse video is basically Eve's or CCP's newest version of maybe previous examples like the 07 show and other stuff like that. So it is, or it was, a fairly regular show that was produced by the CCP community team that showed off like all the latest news, what dev blogs have been coming out, patches, new skins, whatever, right? And for the last couple of months, we haven't had any of these. They specifically said that they were going to stop doing them for a couple of months so that way they could bring it back in like a new, better form. And I've talked about this for a while, that this, and combined with the Alliance tournament and other stuff like that, kind of showcases that CCP is, or at least signals that CCP is looking to kind of reboot their presence, their marketing, etc., the way that they communicate with us and how much they communicate with us this fall, which now it's then. And so now we have the Alliance tournament and we have the newest Pulse. So we've waited like, what, 2 months for the next Pulse? Let's see whether or not it's worth it. I actually have already watched this, and so I know that I have a lot I want to say about it, but I don't necessarily remember everything. I've watched it only once. So let's just jump into it. That's pretty. Uh-oh, I'm going the wrong way.
Welcome back to the Pulse. This will be your regular spot of New Eden intel and all happenings in EVE Online.
First of all, I want to correct this. This needs to be a little bit wider than it is, but this is already a really cool setup. It's funny because we were just talking about establishments yesterday, and the idea of like the semi-crowded bar, or, you know, whatever, is a very iconic of EVE Online in a strange way. So I really kind of like that they went with this sort of vibe, and yeah, so it's a really hard thing to do, right? Because they're trying to balance being kind of in the game and buying into it and not coming off as too cheesy, which I guess they've never necessarily been too concerned about being too cheesy. But my point is that I feel like this comes across as actually good representation of this, as opposed to like, here I am in the cardboard spaceship, or, you know, really, you know, other kinds of stuff that they've done in the past. Either way, let's go.
Starting with Gateway, the third quadrant of 2021, which is now live in-game. The Gateway Quadrant will open the door to New Eden for many new capsuleers, and also provide established player corporations and alliances new avenues in which to direct the training and advancement of fresh recruits.
So I'm really excited about that. Obviously, anything involving new corporation stuff is great. I don't know whether or not this means new advertisement capabilities. They'll tell us a little bit more about the MPE and stuff. I think that actually the next step of the MPE may actually tie more into player corporations, but we'll look into that in just a second. Actually, let's just jump back into it.
Gateway will be a shorter quadrant than normal, and will also act as a stepping stone to EVE Online's fourth quadrant of 2021 in November, where a new era will dawn across New Eden, signaling updates for resource scarcity.
Okay, so obviously a quadrant is 1/4, and that would mean that each quadrant in EVE Online would be like a quarter of the year, which would be 3 months. However, there has been at least 2 issues where one quadrant went too long, and at the very beginning of the year, they kind of had a month almost without a quadrant, if that makes sense, because, you know, after December, January is always very thin. So either way, they were already pretty much behind, right? So like Gateway just basically came out, I guess, maybe a month ago, but I think less than that. And the concern was, it's like, this is already time almost for us to be talking about the fourth quadrant. Will there be a fourth quadrant? And this answers that. So Gateway is focused on bringing people into the game, which is really important given the fact that they've, in the past, have not focused on that as much because they feel like they have a retention problem as opposed to a recruitment problem. So this is really like, this tells me that they feel like what they've been working towards when it comes to the MPE and what's next and introducing the players to the new players into the game is kind of ready to roll out. And they've been working on this since 2019. So kind of excited about that. We've already seen some of it with the animations, the new MPE, the first half of the new MPE, and the skill plan rollout, which they talk about in a little bit. I'm interested to see whether or not we're going to get much more when it comes to Gateway, but that idea of the next, so this quadrant being a short quadrant that sets up the next quadrant, which is go time, has me very excited, very, very excited. Not only are they once again saying out loud, like the end of resource scarcity, which will hopefully get into people's heads that now's the time to prepare. And realize that we're going to be like, this is the setup for the kickoff, which is starting in November, which makes me very, very excited for that. And I just wonder how big of a kickoff we're going to get.
The Gateway Quadrant kicked off with a brand new story-driven capsuleer training experience for rookie pilots. This is the first step in improving the Gateway to New Eden for fresh pilots, and will continue to be updated, engaging players to keep them in the game longer. The new skill plans feature is now also live.
That's an interesting one for a couple of reasons. So, EVZ is pointing out that they're starting to focus too much on getting new players and not much on keeping older players. I actually disagree with that. There's plenty of examples of them doing things for older players, including the Rogue Drone content update that they talk about in a little bit. But also, as I mentioned yesterday, and it's worth noting again, that basically what's really happening is that CCP is building a brand new tech to manage animations and behavioral states to allow NPCs to communicate with us in a much more realistic and immersive way, I guess. And so they didn't just use the MPE because they want to just keep focusing on new players' experience. It's because that is the most focused point of entry, right? Like if you were trying to roll this out for mission runners, you would have to have it for basically what would you do? Every mission agent, whatever, even career agents. There's 5, technically, if you wanted to get really bad about it, it's 5 times 3 times 4. So 60 different career agents, each of which are their own kind of dude. So even that is kind of a monumental thing. However, there's only one aura. So they can make a little piece of aura where she interacts with you for 10 minutes of gameplay. That's a very good first step. The second step is they introduce 2 or 3 more characters in the next piece of the MPE, which they've done. What's interesting about this is that the concern that I've always had when it comes to voice acting is the same issue that they had in the Inception MPE, which is that once you've hired and gotten a voice actor recorded, it can be very difficult to add or change things. Often these are contract work. It's very difficult to maybe get them again, or whatnot. Which is why Overwatch was really famous for locking in their voice actors so they could continually go back to that pot. Eve hasn't done that from my understanding. So the idea that they can update this and they point that out is kind of hopeful, and goes back to that idea that I hope that they're working on a better way of doing procedural voice work or something like that, to allow them to be more flexible with stuff. Because once that tech is proven out, then you can fold it to things like mission running and all that stuff relatively rapidly. So first we got Aura, then we got the new Air representatives, and as CCP Aurora, I believe it was, on Reddit pointed out, the career agents' days are numbered. And as this video kind of points out, having well-informed, prepared new players to join our ranks, players that are actually prepared to with the information that they need to join, and once they join one of our player groups, that I think helps experienced players.
Streamlining and simplifying your progression through EVE's many skills and advancement avenues. Skill plans allow you to build an ordered list of skills without needing to buy and inject them first, with specific goals which you can create to follow and keep track of your training as you aim for your desired experiences and challenges in EVE.
I've been saying this since the skill planning has come out. This is a different paradigm to how skills are processed, right? And I've been saying that CCP needs to explain this, break it down for people, so that way experienced players can understand it. Because right now, people are just interpreting it kind of with the old paradigm's mindset, and they just see it as a broken system as opposed to a different system. So I hope that, or like, this is a, well, like, this is kind of what I was hoping for. It remains to be seen if this is enough. And I definitely agree that there's probably more work that needs to be done to the program, just functionality-wise. But ultimately, I think that this plan process is going to be very much an improvement to the game. The only thing that I come up to is the fact that only having 5 milestones ends up being strangely limited. But I think even that can be worked around.
Plans also allow you to share lists of skills with each other and interact with them inside the EVE Online client. EVE Online is now fully native on Mac, with a brand new client bringing a wave of improvements. These include improved graphics and visual effects, reduced RAM and power usage, full support for Mac keyboards and mice, and more. To commemorate this release, you can log in now for daily rewards such as new Quaif Zero Green Apple and celebratory skins until the 19th of October.
So this rolled out today, with the Mac client on Tuesday. So this Pulse, you could argue that this Pulse video was waiting for the Mac client to be ready. Which leads me to wonder how many other things have been waiting on that. Because that's a big deal. It's the kind of thing that could function as a blocker to other unrelated developments, like, say, DirectX 12 or something. I don't, maybe, potentially. And so I wonder how much of a hurdle this is to get past. I don't know. They haven't said anything about it. It might be worth asking. But just the fact that this came up right now and they're bringing highlight to it, and the fact that they made a whole thing about the logins, rewards, and all that stuff, like, you know, basically creating it for a new client is, creating a new client for a native OS isn't a nothing.
Speaking of gateways, EVE Online has now launched on the Epic Games Store. This has opened up the gates of New Eden to players with no previous experience of EVE and will bring in waves of new capsuleers, expanding the EVE community.
No. So first of all, I don't know, man. Is the Epic Game Store that popular yet? Like, it's already, this is my question. It's already on Steam. Do we know how much of a population has access to the Epic Game Store that uses the Epic Game Store to search for their games that don't already also have Steam? Is that a demographic? Because, I mean, like, I feel like it's mostly you have Steam, and then you might have Epic if you're okay with what they did or whatever. Like, some people, yeah, exactly. Everybody on Epic seems, I would imagine that, like, the Venn diagram is a circle inside of a circle, mostly. Maybe like a little sliver out. Either way, my point is, or not my point, but one thing I do want to say about this is that I believe there's also a program where if you buy like Plex or other things through the Epic Game Store, you can support your content creators. Like, I supposedly can do this where, you know, whatever. I haven't figured it all out, and I need to talk to CCP Swift about it some more, because it doesn't seem to be set up right. But I don't know if it's me or somebody else, and it hasn't been an extreme priority. But that is a thing, just so you know. Like, other content creators have probably got it figured out way further than I have. So, you know, it just is another opportunity that if you're already going to buy Plex or whatnot, this is just an extra little perk to be able to support your content creator.
For recruitment, training.
One thing I do wonder about this, though, is Epic Games... Two things. One, would Epic Games ever throw in there a free something for EVE? Like, Epic Games does a free game every couple of weeks. So would it ever be like a content pack for EVE Online? Hard to say. That'd be a big deal, though. Let's see, was there anything else I had to say about it? Oh, my other question is, given the fact that we have like issues with Steam players not being able to play it on like the main client or whatever, or like if any problems happening with Steam that them being locked out of their client, or like having to purchase their updates, or like they have to get different bundles because they're on Steam, I wonder if that issue will replicate over to the Epic Game Store.
And integration by established player corporations and alliances. To celebrate their arrival and this occasion, brand new bronze, silver and gold starter packs plus a cybersuit pack have been launched in the EVE store. These packs contain Omega, Plex, thousands of skill points, as well as stunning semiotic superluminal skins and apparel. Each pack is available for purchase once per account, paving the way for capsuleers to warp straight into the action in style, with boosted skill training and Plex to spend. Furthermore, you can buy the fantastic new semiotic superluminal skin on the popular Astero and Stratios Sisters of Eve ships for 110 Plex each in EVE Online's New Eden store. A new dev blog has been uploaded on the subject of EVE Online's new technology platform, Quasar. Check out the blog on the EVE News website and find out how we're setting course for EVE forever.
Hold on. Okay, so when he got to this section, I I was like, oh good, he's going to explain Quasar in like a TLDR English version for the show. Great, that'll help. And then he just says, go look at the dev blog, as if that's going to explain things to people who are not technically proficient. But they just dodge over the topic completely.
You can now summon the Swarm in a new update to Capital gameplay with the Concord Rogue Analysis Beacon, or CRAB for short. Anchor this device in low-sec or not.
Is this really live yet? Does anybody know? Can you actually use the beacons yet? I didn't think you could use the beacons. Did that come out this week? No. So that's really weird because they made sure that the Mac client thing was correct, but this came out early. They probably clearly wanted this out today, this week, but they maybe were down a little bit, back a little bit.
Nullsec, and it will attempt to scan for data on nearby rogue drone threats. If the scan completes, you will be rewarded, but there's always the risk of local rogue drones trying to destroy your beacon before it gathers any intel. Check it out now on the Singularity test server. The best ship skins of 2021 bundle will be available in the EVE store from the 14th of October for any of you who missed out on these gorgeous nano coatings the first time around. The contents include skins such as the Thanatos Green Demons, Orca Rockbreaker Pioneers, Rattlesnake Vampires Hex, Orthrus Ghosts Hex, Nyx Ultraviolence Vortex, and more.
I'm going to just say it. I don't like the fact that this is on the cash shop only. I don't like the fact that this isn't a Plex bonus. In fact, I was going to go on the Nest store yesterday, buy a pack of these, and do them as giveaways, but I can't because you can't buy them with Plex. And so, you know, we all talk about like, oh, old EV. In fact, we were just talking about old CCP versus new CCP or whatever and like whatnot. But like back in the day, they worked with NVIDIA to let you buy a video card with Plex, right? Like it was a strong focus to open up the ability to use Plex in different things. And so the idea that they're introducing more and more things that can't be purchased with Plex and requires actual cash, that's something I don't like.
The inaugural publication of the Community Beat is now live on eveonline.com. Every 2 weeks, this will guide you through the vast EVE community and shine a spotlight on in-game events, developer correspondence, CSM reports, and much more. Whether you're new to EVE or just looking to expand your community horizons, be sure to check it out.
Isn't it a little bit weird that there's an update that tells you about an update? Like, isn't that just super indicative of like the fragmented social platform that is EVE's, you know, community program? Like they have a video that's an update, regular update that's supposed to give you all your news about EVE Online for this time, and they point you to a blog that has your weekly update about EVE Online. I guess it's worth saying that there's that much, you know, like it's worth 2 updates, I guess.
That's all for this episode of The Pulse. Thank you for joining us. Remember to check the description below for more information on all the stories that we've covered. And hit subscribe to stay notified of any new videos that we post. See you next time.
All right, so we're gonna like this one, obviously, but there's one thing I don't like about this one. There's one thing I don't like about this video, and it's what is missing, which is that yet last night they released a new scope video in the evening time, which was really bizarre for me. But I managed to find it within 50 minutes, and so, you know, got it on Reddit for the sweet karma. Oh, hold on, let me... Actually, before I do that, let me just wrap this up and say, if this is what you're watching, thank you for watching. There's more things, more clips from this on the main video and other broken out sections, such as my reaction to the scope video, which I'm about to get into. So if this is the Just Your Pulse video, I'll see you next time, and I'll see you in space.